Hey everybody, this is Larry. This is day 31st of the Leetcode Day Challenge, which is the last day. Yay, we made it through the month. Even if the last week has felt like a year, or I don't know, especially if you watch the news. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me on Discord. Did I say that already? I don't know. Look, alright, I'm old. If I said it twice, well, subscribe twice as hard. Because I don't remember anymore, alright? I'm I'm becoming what you might call it. See, like I said, I don't even remember. Anyway, yeah, my leg. I am also sitting awkwardly today because I am icing it right now. Um, yeah, off to the side. I don't know why I keep looking at it as if I can show you. It's to the side. I mean, I guess I can show you, but it's just like a leg with an ice pack on the foot. It is better today though, so I feel I'm still in a good bit of pain, same amount of pain as yesterday, but today I didn't do any painkillers, so in a way, like it is better. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'm still get to walk that race on Sunday. Earlier today, I caught myself walking, and I'm able to walk at a 30-minute mile pace, which is very slow. And I don't know that I can do it for 6 miles today, right? So we'll see. A lot of things will have to stop hurting for me to work, but yeah. Okay, before I start, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. It's fine. I hope you watch every day, and so you don't miss stuff like this, because it's not every day that I talk about stuff, but sometimes I get questions, and sometimes I remember to answer them because I'm not, some days when I'm not crazy enough, I even get a chance to bring it up and remember them. But yeah, and today I just want to, before I start, and of course, like I said, I believe the people at home. I believe you have the technology. I believe you're smart. You could fast forward or even skip this. Right? You don't have to watch this. It's okay. Or even watch another video. I don't care. Right? There are a lot of channels out there. But today I want to talk a little bit about motivation. Right? I think the key thing about motivation, and there are a lot of ways why you want to do this. But at the end of the day, and maybe this is not a long thought out thing. Like I didn't prepare for this, but which is maybe not so great. But these are my thoughts. They're genuine. They're off my heart. Maybe they're a little bit wrong. Maybe imprecise. But like I said, they're off my head. Right. On motivation is just at the end of the day, why do we do anything? Right. You have to be able to find your whys. Is it is it to hopefully get a job and then provide for your family, right? Then, well, you're doing this for your family, right? Is it so that you want to look smart to impress someone? Okay, well, I mean, maybe that's not why I would do things, but that's okay. Like you do what you have to do. And the thing with motivation is that if you truly believe that's what it takes, then that's what you need to do, right? When I was younger, when I worked in finance, and this is many years ago, um, I would do 10, 12-hour days. Maybe that's not that much nowadays. That's actually not, no, my math is wrong. I remember I did 100-hour weeks, so, but that also include weekends, so it depends how you want to count it. I mean, not sustainable. I was younger. No way I can do it today, to be frank. Maybe lack of motivation is one, but just physically, I just get tired way quicker, right? And I talk about this from time to time on my Discord channel or something like this. And then the question is, well, how do you find the motivation to do the things, right? And honestly, when I was young, maybe some part of it is just like youthful whatever, right? And first job out of college, I was 20 or something. I wasn't even 21 yet because I skipped a year or something like that, or maybe even 19. I don't remember. Well, depends if you count the internship. But anyway, and the truth is, how do I stay motivated? How do I stay working hard, right? Like I said, the truth is, I never thought of it that way because I grew up not super well off my family, and they try all they can to give me and my family, the best. But at the end of the day, we just didn't have that much, right? And for me, working hard wasn't really a choice. It's just all I have, you know. Um, like what is the alternative to you know? Like I was very lucky to get into finance. Maybe a story for another time, but that was honestly 90% luck, maybe a little, and 10% taking advantage of that luck, maybe to even get a job in the first place. And then it's just like, well, look, all right, what else am I doing? What else am I gonna do? Right? Like there are no alternatives. That's all I have. um, I don't know if that's motivation though, but that's just the way I look at it, right? Because my whys are just like everything I have, right? And honestly, maybe we'll talk about it another time. I probably went overboard. I probably overvalued my career a little bit. Like a few years in, say, in terms of sacrifice, right? And the thing is that you know, at least in America, we have this notion of self-made, and as a result, which is ridiculous in general, but the corollary to that is that you have this idea of self-sacrifice of like I and it's just not really like the whole story, right? um like for example, last year, which is tough to say now, in 2024, if you've been watching the channel, if not, that's okay, because hopefully, we all go through phases in life. But and I talk about this every day, the running, right? I was training for the marathon. I was doing at the peak 60 miles a week. I did probably many 50 miles weeks, which people do more for sure. But people, when that's the whole job, if you will, like with the athletes, people do more. But very few people do 50, 60 miles, especially at my speed, right? It's easier to do 60 miles if you're fast. I'm not that fast, right? Not that it's easy, just easier, right? Just fewer hours invested. And it's tough, right? Like, and it's easy to be like, oh, I sacrifice all these hours to kind of get this marathon goal, right? But it's not just you, like if you have a partner and kids, well, like they have to pick up some slack, right? Or that there are a lot of things that have to happen. And it's the same thing with career, with everything in life, right? Everything is a choice. There's a lot of things going on. And I think that's why it's a little bit easier when you're younger, right? Is because you don't have to make as many difficult decisions. And this is also why people ask me all the time, why don't I practice on Codeforce or video on Codeforce and try to get better and try to get into what's it called, what's red grandmaster. When I did top coders, it used to be just named by colors, no names. So whatever, try to be a red coder, as they call it. Like at the end of the day, I just don't have time, and I don't care that much about it, right? Like I'm not trying to further impress anyone. If you're not impressed, that's fine. I also don't care. Like I'm at that stage where intelligence is not enough of a marker for me. For me, I'd rather this is a little bit of a side rant to the side rant, is that I'd rather surround myself with good people than smart people, say, right? You can teach people to be smarter. You can teach people to be a better person, as we come to find out and discover. So I don't know. Anyway, but that's just how I feel about things. I could be wrong, right? Yeah. So that's my spiel on motivation and doing things and getting things done. Like I said, it's just my life. It's my opinion. You may disagree. You could do whatever you want, right? But just figure out why doing something matters to you, and why there's only one way. Because everything is all in balance as well, right? Sometimes, like there are artificial things, like that's why rating is good as a like contest ratings. It's good as a barometer to see if you improve over time. It's also toxic if it's just an arbitrary number, right? Like who cares if you're 2,500 Leetcode versus 2,600? Like no one cares, honestly, right? So I don't know. uh, and the same thing with running, right? Just to be clear, like, is there really that much difference between if you ran a marathon in 3 hours 58 minutes and versus 4 hours and 2 minutes? Yeah, there's a minor difference, and yeah, it's a round number, but who cares? You know, like, the thing is the same, which is the same as Leetcode rating or code force rating, right? Sure, there's a component of quote unquote intelligence and being smart and all these things, but now I think the reason why people respect someone who can run 4 hour marathons, say as an example, is because it's not because they're smart or athletic or they have genetics or whatever. It's because everyone who have done it or aspire to do it knows the hard work and sacrifice and everything that needs to for that to happen, right? And that said, not everyone has that opportunity, and that's fine too, right? Like if you're working at a hard physical labor job and you're not running 4 hour marathons, like, well, like, it is what it is, right? Like, that's fine. That it's just a different lifestyle thing. Same thing with Leetcode. So stop focusing on arbitrary metrics and figure out why and what it is that you want to accomplish and do, right? At the end of the day, these are just all tools, right? And this is a really long sidetrack at this point, 10 minutes in. Ugh, my fault. Like, people ask me, also, maybe I need a Q&A day, maybe it's just to kind of put it up. Like, people ask me about AI, for example, right, and jobs. And that's the thing, right, is that if you think of software engineering as a job where you are and this happens a lot, right, where people talk about programmers who are trying to be software engineers, or how do they talk about it? They're like, oh, software engineering is just a fancy name for programmers to get paid more, which is maybe true, honestly, but part of that is that, well, if you think of yourself as that way, if you think about yourself as programming, right, then you're thinking about just getting good at tools, right? Not to say you shouldn't be good at and effective at your tools, but that's the thing, right? Is that AI is just another tool, hopefully, in the future, as far as I know, right? I could be wrong on this. Maybe I'll have to do a longer video on this. This is already pretty long, but the thing is, if you focus on improving your problem solving skills, and it doesn't have to be Leetcode problem solving. Like, when I say problem solving, I'm just mean, like, you're getting paid to solve problems where your toolkit used to be programming, right? That's a software engineer. You're not getting paid to write code. I mean, that is part of how you solve the problems that your company, brings forth. And so, so my thing about AI and all this software engineering thing is that if you figure out how it is to think about a problem, not just Leetcode, and maybe not, especially not Leetcode really, but just like, thinking through a problem and logically follow it through and stuff like that, then the tools don't matter, right? Like, not that they don't matter, but they evolve over time and you'll grow along with your tools, and that's fine, right? Like, when I first started programming, it was in C, straight C, NCC, and now I probably have, I don't know, how many languages have I done professionally? Probably like 10. No, and any respectable programmer would be better than that, right? Or like with years of experience, many, like, they'll have a similar resume. I'm not that special in that regard. And AI would just be another tool in that toolkit, and maybe that's it. Anyway, all right. Happy to talk more about it, maybe, but I'm 15 minutes in. Maybe I need to actually solve this problem. My apologies if you're here just for the video, for the problem. But if you were listening to the entire thing, let me know in the comments that you were. Otherwise, maybe I'll just cut this segment out once, in the future or something. Because I don't know. Maybe, or it's either that, or maybe I just do a separate video for it or something. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. For the people who watched to the end. Okay, let's take a look at today's problem. We have A27 making a what the? I'm in New York, and New York has this thing called Long Island, so maybe that's how I don't know. Making a large island, not a Long Island. Or maybe I'm just an alcoholic running a Long Island iced tea. Which, on Long Island, you just call it iced tea. Anyway, you're given an n by n binary matrix grid. You're allowed to change at most 1 0 to be a 1. Return the size of the largest island in grid after applying this operation. Okay. I mean, this is a funny problem. It probably would have been a hard like a long time ago. I think it's still marked as a hard, but probably hard has evolved a little bit since then. Though for interview purposes, this is probably very reasonable. If a little bit on the harder side, honestly. I think just that Leetcode problems have gotten hard for no reason. If you ask me, if the goal is interviewing, right? Okay, the first thing I want to look at is the size of the input. Right, 500 square is pretty big, because my first instinct would be like, look, let's do this stupidest, simplest thing that works, right? Keep it simple. But of course, that said, within reason, right? Because it is a hard problem. If it could be that simple, it wouldn't be a hard problem, right? But basically, okay, so we have a connected components problem, right? What's an island? Well, an island, though actually they don't define, I mean, I guess they define it, but I guess it could be a little bit more precise. But yeah, you have islands and they connect with a 1, and that's it, right? At most 1. So the naive way to think about it is, well, just change every cell and then run an algorithm for connected components, which if you've been watching the last couple of days, I guess we've been doing with connected components things. Sorry, I'm just like taking off my ice pack because otherwise it's probably a little bit too long for my foot. Ouch. So much pain now that blood is coming back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it'll be n squared, right? If for every cell you do a breadth first search or connect the components algorithm, right? And when I say n, I don't mean this n, just to be clear, I mean the number of cells, which is actually n squared, so that's actually very confusing. So it'll be like n to the 4th, right? But quadratic in the size of the input. Which is still too slow, right? Because 500 to the 4th is what? 500 squared is 250k, and yeah, that's just too big. I don't need to do math. 600 and whatever. Is it? No. I don't know what it is. It's too big. Too big! But I think the idea then, right, is it's just having a data structure that allows you to do queries very quickly. Sorry, I'm like adjusting my foot. Maybe I do need to get back on the painkillers. And without further comment, right, like, well, the way that I would think about it or attack the problem is that, okay, I think about it as this connected components, as we talk about. We have islands, right? So you definitely need to do one of the 3 ways, easy ways anyway, to do it. Breadth first search, depth first search, or union find, right? DSU, disjoint set union. Getting injured sucks. Don't do it. Don't recommend it. But right. And then now you have a structure, and that's really it, right? And then it's just about looking at every cell. You can brute force every cell and see the idea behind it. I think the natural thing to want to do, and I've probably done this in the past, is just have a union find, but you can do this with any algo, right? The idea here is that now, okay, well, what happens? I think it's just about thinking about the cases a little bit, right? So let me bring this up real quick, right? So you have, say you have an island, or like if you think about islands, right? Or yeah, and some of this will come with experience and practice. When I say experience, I mean like practice, really, right? It's just that you know, you have some idea, right? So then now you have the cell, right, that is in question. So what are possible things that can happen, right? So that means that if this is a 0 and you turn it to a 1, then what happens? Well, basically what you're doing is that you're merging the 4 sides that are next to it, right? And there are only a couple of ways you can, you know, I mean, you could probably figure out how to add them in a way, but it's just like, okay, so you have some component that goes here, right? And then maybe you have another component that is unrelated, like here, right? And then you just get it, and in that case, you just sum up the size of these things, right? It could be also, of course, that you have one component that takes up both of these, right? Maybe you have something like this that goes and then, you know, then you don't add them. So those are kind of like, I wouldn't say those are all the cases, but those are kind of representative of all the cases, right? And then it's just about having a data structure and an idea to kind of let you capture that. And I think it's not so bad as a result, right? I think it's natural to kind of want to do disjoint set union, but I think today I want to play it with something new, right? And just do it with breadth first search, same thing as we did yesterday, right? I know that this is a square grid, but I like writing it this way so that depending on the loops and stuff, I don't confuse myself, the rows and columns. And in this case, like this particular case, it doesn't matter that it is a square, right? There's no properties to exploit requiring it to be a square, as far as I could tell, right? So then now in an idea, you go, okay, right? For j in range of C, if grid is of ij is equal to 0, yeah, then let's do some math, right? Then we want to add I mean, there's different ways you can represent it. I'm just trying to figure out what's the thing, right? Which is the same thing as yesterday, which is that we have some G for the group name or group identifier, right? Maybe we could, I'll write it out this time. I was lazy yesterday for some reason. You have a group ID and the size, right? I think size is actually, some language is actually a keyword, so that's why I try to avoid certain types of things. Even ID is a keyword, especially in Python, so I don't know. Yeah, and then it's just oh, actually I messed this up a little bit. Well, we're gonna go up, down, left, right, right? So then we have something like up, down, left, right. Do I have to explain this? Let me know in the future in the comments. But it just basically allows us to do something like this in the future, right? So then now we have for the it's a little bit I'm mixing I and J's and X and Y, so let me fix that real quick, right? So then now we have dx dy in directions, which allows us to do nx and y is equal to x plus dx, y plus dy, which then now we can make sure that they are within bounds first, right? And then now if they're within bounds, we can now call something like, okay, group and the size is equal to I don't know, let's just say get island of nx and y, and then now yeah, and then that's it, right? And then now you want to merge the 4 sides, right? So this up, down, left, right, so you can kind of merge this, and but you also want to dedupe on group ID, so there's a simple way to do it, which is just what's it called, neighbors, maybe? Trying to write it in the non-British way. Okay, right, so then maybe we have to do like, oops, apparently I don't know how to spell, group ID and size, and that's it, right? And then now at the end, we know that, well, we can just sum it up, right? Because each group, anything that's the same group ID should have the same size, otherwise you really messed up. So we can just ignore the group ID and add in the size of adding this one connecting that island, right? So you can do something like for group ID size in neighbors, we just totaled at s, right? And then now we update some best is equal to max or best total, and that's it, right? Easy peasy mostly, right? So then now we have to obviously implement get island, and we can do that, right? So let's just do a get island of xy, right? And the key thing we want to do is we don't want to duplicate the work. I know that I wrote this in a way that does not make it clear, and I didn't really talk about it, but we do want to, I mean, we talked about a little bit about data structure, and there are many ways to do this. It's fine, but yeah, but we can play around with, right? So here we do, maybe we have like I don't know, answer is equal to right? Actually, we'll just do it for none for times c for all right. So just an answer for each one, and then now if answer of xy is none or is not none, then we can just return it. That means we have already calculated, almost like a memorization, really. Actually, I did think about, well, no, not. It is kind of like it, but not the way you populate it, which is why it's not memorization. That's why I wanted to make the distinction, right? And you'll see in a second. But yeah, so it's not none. Then we did collection. And we have to actually return the ID. So I'm actually off here. Actually, maybe now. Maybe we'll just put into the answer as well, which is fine. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. You could do this in a number of ways. I think it's all the same. Like maybe you could have, okay, no, let's just keep it this way for now. I'll talk about how you can, like, I think a lot of these choices, at least for competitive programming or Leetcode, it doesn't really matter. There are very minor optimizations, and maybe for cleanliness, is it? Or code cleanliness, if you will. Maybe it matters a little bit, but I think the first thing you want to do is just focus on getting it done, and then talk about cleaning things later, right? I think that's how I want to think about it. But yeah, so then now we just q.append, what's it called, xy, right? And this is a connected component kind of thing, right? So we don't need anything that fancy. We can just do d is equal to, or the scene is equal to a set, or a lookup table, right? Or a hash table, sorry, or a map. That's the word I was looking for. Or let's go with scene. Yeah, actually, let's call it a set, because we don't really need the distance, right? And the reason so this is one thing that is actually easy to make a mistake on, especially if you kind of got used to it, is just to be clear, is that you could easily write something like similar to what we wrote, right? So you may ask, why wouldn't you want to do that? The reason why you don't want to do that is that this actually costs R times C to even allocate the space. Well, to allocate the space, it takes all of one per space to allocate the space. If you use it all, it's fine. That means that's your lower bound anyway. But if you don't use it all, then this adds up, right? And that it may propagate a mistake in which you're doing a quadratic time thing, because for each cell, if for each cell you're doing a linear thing to just for the space, then it becomes quadratic. So you don't want to do this, and the choice of using set is actually very deliberate. I want to call that out because sometimes I don't, honestly, and I just kind of make assumptions about it, and it's very specific, right? But this part is just standard breadth first search, and you can actually convert it to depth first search by just using pop instead of pop left, or using a stack base instead of queue base. Doesn't matter for this one. But yeah, and then now yeah, and then so for dx dy in directions, and again why did this way? That's a little bit wonky. Yeah, and this is the same thing as we just did, so it's going to look very familiar, but there's some goodness in the because you just get used to it if you write the same consistent style, right? And grid of nx and y is still equal to 1, right? Then now we want to append nx and y, and we want to add scene to scene, and we have to check for scene. Actually, I forgot, so hang on. The reason is because I want to do it this way, and also we have to check that nx and y not in scene, right? And that's it, right? And then in theory, the size of scene is the return value, but we have to get a group ID, right? I guess the way that I did it this time, there's no group ID, but you can also just have an incrementer, so that's fine. It's just maybe it's a little bit yucky, but yeah. Let's just say last group ID is equal to 0, or maybe next group ID. I don't know. Either way, so then now, yeah. Now in theory, you could just return next group ID. Now you have to increment. So yeah, but yeah, and then length of scene kind of, we have to change this a little bit, right? So yeah, group ID is equal to this. We have to also do a non-local. Oops. All right. So then now you can increment, right? But of course, the reason, the thing is that now, which is fine and it'll work, but too slow is because we don't fill out answer, right? So I mean, there's nothing much to it. We just have to fill it out. So for x, y in scene, we just want to do answer of nx of x sub y is equal to group ID, length of scene, right? And that's it. Easy peasy. And that's as well. Okay, fine, thanks. I did actually know this one. And the reason is because I did not count the turning this 0 to a 1. I was actually thinking about it as I was writing it, but also this is wrong. Huh. That part is actually sad, but this one, I actually was thinking about it while I was writing it, but then I just forgot to bring it up. Okay. Expected, because you don't have to change one. Okay. So ironically, without it would have been fine, but that's fine, right? We just start best is equal to what's it called? Get island of 0, 0, right? And we don't care about the group ID. And that's it, right? Give it a submit. Am I good? Yeah, that's good. Let's go. If it times out, then I will feel a little bit sad. That means I did something silly. Maybe it times out. Oh, wrong answer is worse. Why would this up with 3? Oh, because I thought I had this here, but I forgot. Okay, I mean, I just forgot to check that this is a 1, right? Otherwise, because I don't check for it here, because I just assume that this is already a 1 here, but I don't know why I forgot this part actually. Okay, run it real quick. Whoopsie daisies. Silly mistake day. 2 silly mistakes? How did I put 3? Huh. I mean, I don't know. This is a silly today is not a good day for silly mistakes, it turns out. Okay. Why do I put 3? I mean, this is wrong anyway, I think. No. This should be right. Oh, no. This is wrong because get 0, 0 could be... Okay, this is just silly. That's my base case. That's what I get for hacking it. I guess I can just also just write it this way then. If it's 0 to 1, we do this magical thing. Otherwise we just calculate it, which is equal to get island of xy of 1. Maybe that's more precise anyway, but still, that's just silly on the base case. That's what happens when I don't know, because I was focused more on the overall structure and kind of explain the structure that I've missed the forest for the trees. A couple of silly mistakes. This one is very silly. Got 2 1. I didn't even get wrong answer the last 2 times I did them, and that was a long time ago. So maybe I've been getting worse. And in fact, this one is just very quick. Why is it so? Oh, I did union find that time. Not surprised. Union find, I feel like it's harder to make mistakes. Oh, I did do that first search the last time. Maybe I did try to spin it up. I mean, this is 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, or whatever. And the other one is 5 years ago or more. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, very silly mistakes. What were my mistakes again? Results not supported. Just show me the bad test case. I don't get it. I don't know. This is very weird. Like now it pops up here. The UI is silly. Oh yeah, this is the case where there's nothing. And this is the case where, yeah, my base case was just silly. How did I handle my oh, I just took the size of the biggest component, but that seems like a lot of work. I don't know. I did think about that honestly, but I just thought maybe I could sweep it under the same edge cases, which I was wrong about, kind of. I mean, I guess it's here, but it's a little bit more awkward. But yeah, what's the complexity, right? Well, we look at every cell exactly once. So, well, exactly O of one time, not exactly one, sorry. So that's going to be O of n, which is the size of the input, which is n squared, which is confusing to say, all times c. So yeah. Okay, let's show the code again. So this is just the code for looking at each cell and all these other funky things, right? Yeah. If it's a 0, you convert it to 1 by looking at its neighbors and seeing the islands and just keeping the unique parts and then summing them. If it's not, then we just get the size of the island and say that we don't change anything. And then, yeah, and then this is the breadth first search, which is a very straightforward, a very standard connected components code for the most part. I mean, we have to save the answer and get the group ID, but otherwise everything else is is boilerplate. And yeah, and that's it. That is all I have for this one. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Stay good, stay healthy to good mental health. Have a great coming up weekend, everybody. I'll see y'all later and take care. Bye bye.